أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والتسليم على نبيه محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الحمد لله الذي هدانا بدينه واختصنا بملته وسددنا في سبل إحسانه لنسلك بمنه إلى رضوانه حمدا يتقبله منا ويرضى به عنا والحمد لله الذي جعل من تلك السبل شهر رمضان المبارك والصيام فيه. إخوتي وأخواتي، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أوصيكم ونفس الآثمة بتقوى الله تبارك وتعالى. My dear brothers and sisters, I enjoin you to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be God-fearing and have taqwa in our hearts, to instill it in our hearts, especially with the practice of fasting in the holy month of Ramadan, considering which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that one of His philosophies are for us to have and to reach the maqam of taqwa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran in Surah Juma, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the very first verse, يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He starts this surah with this verse, يسبح, it is very noteworthy to see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has started for other surahs as well with either the same word يسبح or sabbaha. That is to say, there are 5 surahs that start with either yusabbihu or sabbaha. And these are Surah Al-Hadid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts it with sabbaha. Surah Al-Hashr with sabbaha. Surah Al-Jum'ah, it starts with yusabbihu, and Surah Al-Taghabun starts with yusabbihu as well. Yusabbihu or sabbaha, this root word has been mentioned in the Holy Quran 89 times in 87 verses. 89 times. So it has a certain meaning and a certain connotation, signification to it. What I want to focus on is the difference between sabbaha and yusabbihu within these 5 surahs, and what is their connection to Surah Al-Jum'ah and Salat Al-Jum'ah with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starting this surah with yusabbihu. First of all, sabbaha, those who may know a little bit of Arabic, is in the past tense. Okay? He praised or He glorified. Yusabbihu is in the present tense. He glorifies. Secondly, what is to be noted is that each and every surah in the Holy Quran, the beginning of the surah has a direct connection and a suitability to the end of the surah. If we look at Surah Al-Jum'ah, for instance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts the surah with يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. Whatever is in the heavens and in the earth, and whatever is on the earth is exalting Allah, glorifying Him, the sovereign, the pure, the exalted in might, etc. If you look at the end of the surah, in verse number 10, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He say? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نُودِيَ لِلصَّلَاةِ مِنْ يَوْمِ الْجُمْعَةِ. Correct? What? فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. That all you who believed, when adhan is called for prayer on the day of Jum'ah, then proceed to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yusabbihu, glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing that dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right. Coming back to that tense that I mentioned in the second point, the fact that this surah, it starts with the present tense, and other surahs start with the past tense. Those surahs that start with the past tense, let's start from that. These signify, they mean that something praised or exalted Allah, but we do not have any reference to time. It happened in the past, it could continue to the future, it could continue to the present, okay? But this word is silent, it does not define that has it continued or not. Whereas in Surah Al-Jum'ah, and those words or those verses that use the word in the present tense, these are there to signify a form of continuation, as if it should be a habit of ours to continually exalt and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Upon that, in Surah Al-Jum'ah, we find this in the other surahs as well. If you look at something else, and as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the second verse, we started with the first verse that Yusabbihu is in the present tense, a continuity, correct? Look at the second verse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا. He is the one who sent among the illiterate a prophet, an apostle. يتلو عليهم آياته, who recites, and he continually recites for them his verses. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and he purifies them, he shows them the path to purification, تهذيب النفس. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, and he teaches them the book, the Quran, wal-hikmah, wisdom, or the ahkam. He teaches them. So this is a signification or connotation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to talk about the status and the state of the risala, the message of Islam. It should be in that continuous form, in which me and you as believers in Islam, as Muslims, we should be in a constant state of glorification and of learning and of purification in order to be considered as proper and appropriate Muslims. Sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. Another thing to stop and to ponder over is the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in certain surahs, when He mentions, He starts Sabbah lillahi ma fi samawati wal ard. Whatever is in the earth, is in the heavens and earth, praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Al-Jum'ah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yusabbihu lillahi ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. Correct? Whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth praises and exalts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is that ma repeated in Surah Al-Jum'ah in that first verse and in other verses? And why is it that in other verses it is not mentioned? It is simple. When you look at the connotation of the likes of Surah Al-Jum'ah that have two ma, whatever and whatever, mentioned twice after each other, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the people of the earth. He's talking about human beings. Okay? In Surah Al-Hashr, for instance, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, or let's take the example of Surah Al-Jum'ah itself. يُسَبِّحُ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ, and then we came to the second verse. هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ, He is the one who sent among the illiterate. So who is He talking about? He's talking about human beings, correct? He's talking about us. Whereas in Surah Al-Hadid, it is only mentioned, that ma is mentioned one time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, سَبَّحَ لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth exalts Allah, and He is the exalted in might, the wise. What follows that? Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, لَهُ مُلْكُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. He has the dominion. He is the owner and the possessor of the dominion of the heavens and the earth. He gives life and causes death, and He is over all things competent, and He knows about everything. Who is He talking about? He's talking about Himself. Correct? So whenever that ma is mentioned twice, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He talks about the people of the heavens and the earth. But when it is mentioned only once, He may be talking about Himself or maybe another matter, but not about the people of the earth. With that, we come to the end of our first khutbah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صلى الله عليه وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا بحمده وجعلنا من أهله لنكون لإحسانه من الشاكرين وليجزي على ذلك جزاء المحسنين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم عليه صلاة وتسليما دائما مباركا. إخوتي وأخواتي أعزائي أوصيكم ونفس الآثمة بتقوى الله. Continuing with explaining some of the meanings of that first phrase of sabbaha or yusabbihu in the beginning of Surah Al-Juma and other surahs, one of the other things that are notable is the fact that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with that verb in the past tense, when He says sabbaha, whatever was in the earth and the heaven glorified Allah, glorified, exalted, praised, we find that which follows, that surah talks about conflict or a battle. It always talks about it. Whereas when we come and, for instance, in Surah Al-Hadid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in verse number 10, لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل أولئك أعظم درجة من الذين أنفقوا من بعد وقاتلوا وكلا وعد الله الحسنى والله بما تعملون خبير. Not equal among you are those who spent before the conquest of Makkah and fought, and those who did so after it. Because that conquest of Makkah, before that, it required a lot of faith and iman in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those who stood firmly with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before him, reaching that state of strength and power, and that Islamic state becoming vaster in terms of its territory, and that wa'ad and that promise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had promised His Prophet with, before that even came true, those people who really believed in the Holy Prophet are not like those who started to believe in him and to assist him and to come to his aid after that happened. That required a lot of faith, a huge leap of faith. So this is talking about a conflict that happened, which is the conquest of Makkah. It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about this, of course, whereas those verses that talk about, that start with Yusabbihu, they do not mention any conflict or any battle. They talk about other matters. It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He mentions those verses that are related to battle and starts their surahs with Sabbaha, it is a kind of signification. He wants to give us the meaning that this status of conflict and fighting, this should be something that we as Muslims should pass over. We should progress after. We should leave it. We should cross it. We should reach to such a state that to defend ourselves, it should be only resorted to when there is a reason. However, the normal state of a Muslim is the state of ihsan. The normal state of a Muslim is the state of ta'awun, coming to each other's aid, coming to help each other. And this is one of the main themes of the holy month of Ramadan, where Allah Azza wa Jal, He wants to make us taste that feeling of hunger so that we can feel that which a poor person he feels. Another thing to be mentioned is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says in Surah Al-Jum'ah in the 10th verse, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, فَإِذَا قُضِيَتِ الصَّلَاةُ فَانْتَشِرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَابْتَغُوا مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. And when the prayer is concluded, it finishes, disperse within the land and seek from the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember Allah often that you may succeed. Adhkar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, dhikr, it is a key to everything. All the causes that are related to the heavens and the akhirah, and that which is related to our problems and our lives in this world. Our Arafah, when this particular matter comes of dhikr, they give it a lot of importance to the extent that they learn ilmul adhkar, the science of adhkar, from their teachers. So Sayyid Abdul Karim al-Kashmiri, he was one of the contemporaries and the colleagues of Ayatollah Bahjat. They both studied under Sayyid Ali al-Qadi in Iraq in approximately 1940s, 50s, during that time. Sayyid Abdul Karim al-Kashmiri, he had an ijaza, a permission to not only learn but also to teach ilm al-adhkar to other people. This is a really, really deep science, but with it, it is possible for a person to attain so many things that are related to our dunya, to our akhirah, to our problems, positive, negative, to our spiritual state. One of my teachers that I was with in Qom by the name of Sheikh Israfil Dahqan, he is a specialist in family and social counseling. But he reached his expertise in this particular field through adhkar. And he told me that during the time he was also a student of Sayyid Abdul Karim al-Kashmiri. He told me that during the time I was a student under his, under the Samahat al-Sayyid, under his eminence, he gave me some adhkar whereby sometimes, some days I would remain in my adhkar for 5 hours. But after that, today, Sheikh Dahqan, his approach in social counseling is based on irfan. So that is to say that he will, because of the spiritual status that he has, he can look at you or even a picture of you, or if there is neither you in front of him nor a picture, with his ilm al-ghayb, he can understand and see the status of a human being. But he does not only keep that for himself, that Allah has given him that state. No. Based upon that, he will advise you that you should do 1, 2, 3. And it is not only that he will give you advice related to ibadat. Even in your life, he will tell you that do 1, 2, 3. In your business, you should do 1, 2, 3. With regards to your children, you should do 1, 2, 3. With regards to your temperament, you should do 1, 2, 3. And based upon this, he is very well known today in Iran. He has, there has been over 40,000 families that he has seen during his time in Iran. And a couple of years ago, I had the honor of being with him in one of the ziyarat of Arbaeen, as he was also meeting with a lot of the zuwar in order to help them with their different issues. So this is with regards to adhkar, that enlightenment of the heart. That you may tell me, Maulana, me sitting here in Leicester and London or wherever in the UK, in the Western world, I can't do that. I don't have access to these kind of people. You don't have to. This is the opinion of Sheikh Bahjat that I will mention. The Sheikh Bahjat himself considered the fact that, and his son directly told me, that his father did not consider it necessary for there to be a teacher to teach you the path of spirituality. Everything is mentioned in the books of hadith and the books of du'as. What me and you we have to seek is that initial craving. You want to be able to walk on the path. I'm being very, very meticulous and accurate over him. If one of us wants for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them to be able to walk on that path of spirituality and for their lives to change, that divine light to come into our heart, go home or sit over here in the masjid especially. Pick up a book of dua. Recite whatever comes to your heart. Crave. Have that feeling, have that urge. I want to recite dua. And with that flow, continue. Recite whatever comes to your heart, whatever you feel that you have the strength to recite. You have the mood. Don't force yourself. Whatever you have the mood to recite. Continue that for the second day and the third day, and the first week, second week. If you continue that for 40 days, that flow will open from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he who takes 1 step towards Allah, Allah takes 10 steps towards him. Try this, and inshallah, Allah Azza wa Jal, you will find that these divine lights, especially in this holy month of Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us this. Among the mustahabbat then, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Surah Al-Juma, in Surah Al-Juma it is a day of dhikr. It is that weekly charge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, just like Shahr Ramadan is that yearly and annual charge of spirituality. There are many mustahabbat that have been mentioned in this, that come into the context of it being a day of a lot of dhikr. Among the mustahabbat and the adhkar to be mentioned that you can find in Mafatih al-Jinan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with, we say, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Subhanallahi Wallahu Akbar, wa la ilaha illallah. Subhanallahi Wallahu Akbar, wa la ilaha illallah. However many times you can. Secondly, to recite salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad as many times as possible. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And among some of the narration, it is said that the least amount of times that you should do that is 100 times on this day. 100 times. Among the mustahabbat is for a person on the night of Jum'ah to recite certain surahs from the Holy Quran, Surah Bani Israel. There is a narration that says that he who recites Surah Bani Israel on that Friday, on that eve of Friday, that Allah and he passes away. Oh, this of course as a habit. So he recites it every Friday eve. and he passes away before the coming of the 12th Imam Ajlallah Ta'ala Farajuh Sharif, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make him amongst the helpers and the followers of our 12th Imam. So if he is alive during that time when the Imam comes, he will be amongst his followers, and if he passes away, Allah Azza wa Jal will also count him amongst those. Among the surahs is Surah Yasin itself, and again one of the adhkar, one of the secrets of the Arafah is that they recite Surah Yasin with the niyat of increasing in spirituality 70 times. 70 times. You can recite it maybe in one day, or maybe in 70 days, or more than that. But you recite it 70 times with that niyyah. One Surah Yasin per day, and you can see the difference in yourself. Surah Al-Waqi'ah, Surah Tur, Surah Al-Jum'ah. Among the mustahabbat is this dua, in which I actually call upon the dear brothers in the AV to put it amongst the du'as, especially that is to be recited on this Friday Eve. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ya da'im al-fadli ala al-bariyya. This is a dua to be recited on Friday Eve. Ya da'im al-fadli ala al-bariyya. Ya basit al-yadayn bil-'atiyya. Ya sahib al-mawahib al-saniyya. Salli ala Muhammadin khayr al-wara sajiyya. Wa aghfir lana ya dhal 'ula fi hadhihi al-'ashiyya. Ghusl. Imam Ali alayhi salam was told by the Holy Prophet Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, that, O Ali, perform ghusl on the day of Jum'ah between the dawn and after Fajr time, between Fajr time and Dhuhr time. That even if you have to spend your money for food on that day to buy water for wudu or ghusl, even if you have to spend your money that you have kept aside for food for that Friday, and you have to spend it to buy water, do so, because it is one of the grandest and one of the greatest mustahabbat. Truly, the way that Surah Ghusl al-Jum'ah is mentioned in the riwayat is something really amazing. Ghusl al-Jum'ah and Qunut after the second, in the second rak'at. They have been mentioned and emphasized a lot in the riwayat, in the narrations. Among the mustahabbat is for a person that you all may know to wear the best clothes, to put atr when you come, to also trim your beard and your mustaches, and to cut your fingernails, starting from this left pinky until the right pinky finger. To cut them all, and the feet the same way. This is one of the causes for rizq to flow in your hands, and it also keeps a lot of diseases away from a human being. Finally, of course, this is for other than the holy month of Ramadan, or maybe if you can do it in Sahri, is to eat pomegranates. To eat a pomegranate, rumman, daram. Okay? To eat a pomegranate on a normal day, on a Friday, on an empty stomach, and to not throw away any single seed of it, any single small grain of it, because of the fact that it is said that amongst this fruit, this is one of the fruits of Jannah, there is one seed that is from Jannah, and this enlightens your heart. I have even seen a narration that says that if one eats one pomegranate all entirely on the day of Friday on an empty stomach, then his heart will be enlightened for 40 days. If he eats 2, then it will be enlightened for 80 days. If he eats 3, then his heart will be totally enlightened to the extent that waswasa cannot enter his heart anymore. And that narration, if I'm not mistaken, is from Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, who says that Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj, that after eating 3 of them, and there not being any waswasa, I do not know how a person can even commit sins anymore. With that, I'll end our khutbah. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, Sayyid al-Mursaleen wa Khatam al-Nabiyyin. Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم وصل وسلم على وصيه أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. وصل على بضعته الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. وصل على سبطيه الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم وصل وسلم على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم وصل على آيتك العظمى والحجة الكبرى الطريق الواضح والصراط اللاذح نجاة العابدين ومنتهى مقصد العارفين أمل الأنبياء واشتياق الأولياء المهدي المنتظر أرواحنا لتراب مختمه فداء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات، تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلى الله عليه وسلم.